Hello, this is J.N.S with Nakhti University, and today we are going to discuss the esoteric and the more spiritual aspects of the Entrusted Melanism framework. And so in 2023, I had came up with this book, and it was entitled Introducing Entrusted Melanism because Pan-Africanism is Dead. So obviously you have this clickbait, very provocative, controversial topic and title rather. And so what that particular framework was, it was born out of me being a former Pan-Africanist and realizing that on a scholarly level, just purely from theory and strategy, I took issues with the framework of Pan-Africanism in terms of I felt it was limited strategy in terms of actual liberation and empowerment outside of working of the paradigm of race or the paradigm that we already found ourselves in or even born into. And so to me, it was a very cathartic and logical approach. And I have the right to disagree with the framework and even develop or upgrade something that I feel could be more beneficial and then state the ways in which, okay, this framework has this issues. It was not created by melanated people in Africa. It was not created even by it was created in the citadels of the West with conjunction, obviously, with some people from the Caribbean, Martin Delaney, but it was sanctioned by the West. And so it's an American construct and it's an academic American construct. And so that's not to say that there's no merit within it, but there's limitations. And so anybody that is looking from, the perspective of like, well, if this is an issue, as a melanated people, we've been dealing with colonization, we've been dealing with all types of things. What are the ways in which we're able to dismantle, you know, that very hegemonic reality and develop our own and create a new one? And to be honest, a lot of us found ourselves in, at least learning about Pan-Africanism on some level, probably like a lot of people in the 80s, the 90s, and then for the newer generation, for us, it came more so. Sorry, I have to be mindful of my phone. It came more so, when we were honestly in high school, when the school started, one of the reading materials was Martin Luther King, and then obviously you take some courses in college and whatnot, and then this framework comes out, and that's where I learned about it from. And then in my household in particular, it wasn't so much Pan African, but it was definitely, you know, um, conscious. It was definitely, we knew what was going on some level, not entirely, but we knew that. Let me make sure that I'm actually recording on the analog device as well. But on some level, we knew that something was not right in terms of dealing with racism. And so when it comes to the Pan-African framework, in terms of its merit, its productive value, its use case outside of, okay, we are all supposedly African, then what? That's really what it boiled down to in terms. I didn't get into the meat and crooks of how do you center around focus on the strategies and goals and your interests, and then how do you reiterate that process from these tribal lines, these geographical lines, these geographical locations, these different cultures among melanated people, and then these different histories. And then obviously bloodlines, that's when delineation comes in. And so for me, I was thinking, I'm like, okay, if delineation is also a concern on the continent and it's a concern even in the Caribbean and in the Americas, then how do you bridge delineation and empowerment and liberation and working together? And then how do you do that on a level where it's strategic, it counts, it can work, it's also in alignment with nature and the universe. And so that was my thinking. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to make these claims that I don't like the Pan African framework, I feel like it can be more developed. It's been 120 years. We're still at the bottom. It's been 120 years. We still are struggling. We still have issues. There's still legalese. There's still shadow governments. There's still corruption. There's still all. So to me, it was like there has to be a better way. And so in 2023, I came up with that book, Entrusted Melanism, introducing that framework. And in that book, we centered more so on the history of Pan Africanism, where it started, how it came about. And then we talked about how it was more so one sided in terms of not everybody being on the same page. And to be honest, that's to be expected. You got damn near 2 to 3 billion melanated people. You're not going to get all those people on the same page. They're in different cultures, different languages, different tribes, different locations. And so that's why I'm like, okay, this is never going to work. It has to be more developed. And so obviously, I might have pissed a lot of people off with that provocative title and these statements, but at the same time, there was merit to what I was saying, regardless if people wanted to gaslight me. Did people use Pan African as a industrial complex to make money? You see, I'm not in the business of that. And so to me, it's like, well, I see or I've experienced clear as day racial stratification. We still see this caste system even playing out, even globally. And so I'm going to be dead ass serious and coming up with a framework from all the way from we talk about the military science aspects of it, all the way down to the actual tribal, local things that can be done on a local level, just with 3, 4, 5 people, 10 people, all the way up to reiterate it from the regional levels, national levels, and then finally overseas, which was the overarching goal, I suppose, of Pan Africanism. But when you talk about, okay, well, what's Pan Africanism? You pretty much you're going to get obviously, empowerment for Black people. You'll get that. They'll say that, and then it's uniting. Okay, united. It's just these high level overarching goals without taking into the account the strategy, the interests, the levels of awareness, and then I would say most importantly, the military science behind it. So that book does have a chapter on military science. That book is online for free. So for people that would say, "Oh, you were just trying to sell a book," why was it online for free a month after it was published in 2023 on the internet? How come it's the redacted version is the PDF is available for free, but also the whole audio is on YouTube. And so it wasn't, oh, I got to try to get a book. It's been 3 years, okay, and that book is still up. And so if I was thinking on that level, it would not have existed, that book. It would have been a rollout would have been different. A book like that is extremely shadow banned, and a book like that got me in trouble and got me a government call as well. Okay. And so today we're going to really, because I get things out in milestones. I didn't just, it's contrary to people, they wanted to move fast on me in terms of, you know, um, the shadow banning and all those things, and thinking that they can just study and stalk and just extract and steal and take things. I became aware of that, but also thankfully everything was given out in milestones anyways. And so it's 3 years later, and now we're just now talking about the spiritual definitions of entrusted melanism. And that's when we're going to talk about the real breakdown of E equals MC squared. And we're going to talk about the original definition of E equals MC squared, and then actually how that is melanin. And we're going to I'm telling you, we're going to do a real deep dive on that. And it's really interesting. And so maybe I should show the title. Since I can pause my screen sharing. Okay. So screen sharing is paused. Okay. Um, let's Entrusted. Let's see if it comes up. It probably won't even come up into Google. Oh, it does. It does. Okay. And so I just want to show, let me resume. Okay. Let's see what screen is sharing. Okay, so this is the book. It was out in 2023. So it says, it's an innovative, action-oriented approach to melanated empowerment. This book explores the history and limitations of Pan-Africanism and demonstrates how its one-sided nature has led to a lack of tangible progress for Black Americans. But I would say even all melanated people. So Entrusted Melanism is it's tiered, it's open source, and it gives you the exact template that focuses on your shared goals, your interests, and practical strategies for empowerment. You would just merely need to put the strategy in there or the plan, but use the template. The template is there. By acknowledging and preserving unique cultures and ethnicities of each melanated tribe, the framework encourages collaboration and allows melanated tribes to preserve their unique cultural identities while working together when it is advantageous for them to do so. So it fosters autonomy, adaptability, strategic alliances for tribes with similar objectives that could benefit from working together. So it's a lot of high level strategies. It talks about how to procure land, your resources, opportunities for growth, military science, how to build servers, how to it's a deep dive into that. And so then you can reiterate it at that tribal level. Once you get that goal completed, you can move on to the regional level. Once you get that goal completed, you can move on to the national levels and then overseas. But you have to center on the strategy around your goals and interests and not race and not even the caste systems that we find ourselves in, because that's just merely you become predictable. If you are whether you see yourself as colonized or free, uh, prisoner of war, slave, liberated, a part of the system, the colonizer, it's you're still operating within the. You have to break the paradigm to become unpredictable on some level, at least militaristically. And so this did give some military science, non-combat, of course. Um, and so how to very creative ways that melanated people can work together to at least on a small level, at the very least, form an intentional community on a local level, get something started, but obviously much bigger lofty goals. And as you can see, we have Thomas and Kara on on there as well. And so let's go back here. Okay, so now we'll just talk about the traditional forms of E equals MC squared. And so obviously what that means is energy is equal to your mass multiplied by the speed of light squared. Pay attention to the speed of light squared. And so obviously that principle is known as your mass energy equivalent. So mass, we think of inertia, you think of on a more broad level, even your kinetic energy. And it shows that mass and energy are interchangeable, as you can see. So that's why I said kinetic energy or even mass, inertia, heat. And they're two forms of the same thing. They're complementary, certainly, because the speed of light, obviously, that's a very large number. And so that equation demonstrates that even how a small amount of mass can be converted into a tremendous amount of melanin, of energy. Sorry, that mass is melanin, by the way. And so obviously we have E equals energy, and this is the traditional scientific way. E is energy, M is mass, C squared is the speed of light squared. But here's the thing. When we talk about mass, we get into cosmic energy. So it explains that energy source of stars, which release light and heat through what? Nuclear fusion. That's relates to the sun. Everybody should know that. Converting mass into energy. So what is mass? That's a measure of inertia. So it's an object's resistance to acceleration. Okay. And so when we think of the source of energy, that equation highlights that mass is highly concentrated form of energy. That's all it is. It appears dense, it appears heavy, but it's just a concentrated form of energy, right? And then sometimes the bigger the mass, the bigger the energy. Or the bigger the ass, the bigger the energy. I'm just playing. I'm totally kidding. But you have it's called sometimes mass energy. And so any process that releases energy inherently reduces the rest of the mass of the system. Let me actually, as I'm talking, because I do have, I'm gonna do time just to keep track of things as I do another meeting after this. Okay, and so we have mass example. Let's give you an example of the traditional forms of mass, and then we're going to bring it down to entrusted melanism. Just hang with me. It's going to blow your mind because this was the spiritual definition that we're covering. So we have fusion. That's your sun, right? And so in the sun's core, you have these hydrogen atoms that's fused into helium. And so that resulting helium, the nucleus, is slightly less mass than the initial four. And then you have your hydrogen nuclei combine. And so that mass difference powers the star. Lastly, when you think of mass, like I said, think of kinetic energy. That's your heat. Heat. And so Saturnian interdimensional beings, Black Negroes, melanated people, that you can feel the heat off of your kinetic energy off of your body. That's why they say when there's a bunch of people in the summer, you say, "Get off of me. It's too hot to be all around us. It's too hot to put your body all on me. It's too hot for all that cuddling and all that stuff." I remember I was raising a kid. I used to get so hot. It's too hot for all of that, all the hugging and all that. But it's because of your kinetic energy and off of the frequency of whether you're, melanin or however your skin color is. So now let's look at that. Like, okay, you've made some pretty lofty claims, bitch. How is E equals MC squared interested Melanism? And so for those that understand like even how trust works in the United States corporation, we have the word trusted in there. Entrusted. Melanism trusted. For those who know how wordplay and then even how you're a private bank that has a trust, okay? Yeah, so this was some deep shit. We went deep, deep. Okay, we're about to go cosmic on that ass, so bear with me. So we have energy. And so we have E equals melanin carbon squared. I'll explain that. So let's say that again. If you have E equals MC squared, think of it as energy equals melanin carbon squared. So obviously, when you think of melanin, you have this dense light. It is the conversion of light. That is inertia in a sense, because obviously you have this human body, or you have soil has melanin in it, water has melanin in it. These are mass, you know. And then you have the conversion of light. You obviously the work that the sun does. Now let's look at entrusted melanism. So where does the E come from? E is entrusted. And so when you entrust something, let's actually look up the definition of entrust. Pause the screen sharing. Definition of entrusted. Okay, so you get to assign the responsibility for doing something to put into someone's care or protection. So obviously, when you think of the fiduciary trust, or how people try to do contract laws to get fiduciary over your trust through the kinetic energy that's in there, or the money, so to speak. What we're doing is taking it back and putting it into its proper context of the sun. Okay, sun, and melanin, and the cosmos, and the stars, and the planet Earth itself, Mother Earth itself. So it's like, okay, we entrust it. We're going to take responsibility for that. Okay, we're taking, we're going to be taking control over that. And so that's what entrusted means, to give someone a responsibility, to possession with the expectation you're going to care for it faithfully. Okay. And so that's what that means. So now let's continue with the screen share. Okay. Okay. So now that you have that, so we have entrusted, and you have melanism, which is your conversion of light, and your dense light, your and then we have carbon squared. So that's your C squared. So let's continue more so with obviously, let's go back to that mass example. Remember fusion power, which is the sun. So remember that? And then you have your kinetic energy, that is your heat. So melanin is a form of mass, so to speak. And remember, melanin and energy is what? Interchangeable. Remember, they said mass and energy is, by their own scientific standards, that is interchangeable. And so we can do the same thing with melanin and energy, and then we can do the same thing with melanism and entrusted. Okay, because when you think of dark energy and the mass of the universe, 75% of the universe, dark matter, dark energy. And that is neuromelanin. It is cosmic, okay, and it is black, pitch black. You look at Saturnian beings, pitch black, just like, look at it. Oh, actually, that's not going to work. See that color? Not, you know how they call this black? No, this is black, okay, and Saturnian beings are this color, okay. That's why you see Kalima. They show, well, how did Kalima look? Pitch black. When remember the original pictures of Shiva? Pitch black. Remember the original pictures of Siddhartha Gautama? Pitch this, because they come from Saturn. Okay. So they have the most condensed. They are so condensed. And I actually I'm gonna pull up some notes right here. They very kind, very kind. They have a very high frequency, but they're black angels and they're melanated beings. They do not, you know, um like hate or anything like that. They are love. They are very much loving. And melanin is a superconductor, so they can cause explosions, okay? These Saturnian beings, if they get mad, they pick and choose who they want to protect. And sometimes, they have devotees. People would pray to them, they protect them. Now, the only thing with them is they sometimes don't become aware of their power as it relates to overseeing other uh the dimensions. Now, remember we said Saturn was a satellite. What is in sat? What is the word satellite? Saturn, elites. Okay, satellite. I kept saying Saturn is a satellite for planet Earth because I knew that it had been monitoring. It had beings monitoring it. I knew it intuitively through quantum entanglement. But I said, well, what's the word satellite? You think of the actual, people think of a man-made satellite. A lot of these comets and there's a lot of satellites that are, even planetary, that are even cosmic. Comets can be satellites sometimes. And so when you think of the word satellite, it's sat elite, Saturn elites. And so those beings, they're posing as satellites, like Saturn is a satellite to planet Earth. And so sometimes they overcharge on crimes. They can come off self-righteous, these beings, and cause earthquakes, firestorms, all types of shit. They don't like to bullies and stuff like that. They don't care for living sacrifices or blood sacrifices. They they focus more on so like in the Bible it says over 400 times sing and dance, music, sing over 400 times the word sing occurs. And God keeps saying give praise and thanksgiving, praise and thanksgiving. That's 432 hertz. That's the frequency of joy and gratitude. It keeps saying praise and thanksgiving. Then it keeps saying love is 428 hertz frequency. And so the reason why you look at Psalms 50, right? It says, why would God want a blood sacrifice or even a living sacrifice? It says, the creator God of the universe. Now, we all know there's lesser gods. We're actually going to talk about lesser gods and uh, angels, earth angels, and cosmic gods, primordials. We're going to talk about that probably in a week or two and talk about how even some of the Ekebalians, they knew about creator God of the universe. And from there, they felt like that God was too mean. So they will go to the other gods. And those gods do work on the behalf of the creator God of the universe. And then you have the angelic kingdom. Those gods are you could look at them as angels too, whatever. But they take some of them of the old order where they follow whatever that creator God of the universe tells them to do. They always going to make sure they in cosmic law. And you got some that separates themselves from source, that feels like they don't acknowledge a creator God or a supreme being above them. Those are two different, those are deities that exist. We're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about where they originate from. It's going to be really deep because a lot of Saturnian beings are of the old order. They don't play. They believe they are very evolved, extremely intelligent, but they're extremely emotional too. And when we say emotional, it's like compassionate, it's like caring, overdoing it. So, I have even seen, just through dreams and whatnot, where they can be very moral, like very even come off self-righteous. And I was seeing even some of the visions of like Kalima's, upbringing from her ascension, descension, dimensions, all these different travels. And it was showing like how, and even there's even books about this stuff too. I had the dream first, and then I was able to read. Other people have these scenarios too. I think it was one of them was called Psycho-Astral Power. But anyways, some of the devotees, they would be praying to Kali, whatever they're saying, for protection and help in India, some Dravidians, and they was, saying their little chants. And you could see, I even see this in the dream, Kalima, even on one of the moons of Saturn, being able to like just like how a satellite was able to observe what's going on planet Earth and look down and see one of her devotees in danger. And literally with like a hand, like how you just bench on the table, Like just like that's literally all it was. And this was like a energy that was like a 5 year old. Just bang on the table or bang their hand and cause an earthquake on planet Earth to stop them from hurting her devotees, to stop them from her, and it was such a dramatic response. That's what you say, like it's kind of overcharging, because that's kind of like, whoa, like that's too much. But it got them to back off. It protected them. And that person that they ran off, and then the devotee was safe. And there's actually stories like that all over the place where they'll, these the Naga Saturnian beings will have to step in, and this is usually in Indian culture, obviously, you know, and those being they're like they don't know anything else but okay, and sometimes they'll take too much favor or um glee in a person's life, like going to the extreme to protect them. It's not really obsessive, but it can be like, say, a little kid that has their favorite baby doll. That's the best explanation that I can describe as like you have that little kid that is obsessed with that baby doll and they won't go anywhere else without it. Sometimes those Saturnian beings, they'll take a liking to a human or they'll take a liking to their devotee. And once that happens, if you get in danger or somebody's, and I'm telling you, you can read this stuff in books. Like there was one where um the one of the Indian Dravidians was praying. I think it was either to Kali or Shiva, and once again, they was getting jumped, like they were getting beat on, and I mean, it couldn't be a fake story. I don't know, but they said it was a bunch of cobra snakes that they started praying real hard, and a bunch of cobra snakes came out and chased the attackers away. They was just literally only after them, and then they just disappeared. The snakes just, So you hear all types of stuff like that. Like you'll be amazed, you'll be shocked. And there's even stuff, obviously those are not the creator gods of the universe, they're primordial cosmic beings, they're Saturnian beings, but they even bow down to creator god of the universe. Ajni does, all of the melanated, the orishas. We can get into it because I found some really cool stuff. I found out that Ajni is in the Shanti in Ghana. That's where it comes from. Yes, Ajni, fire in the Rig Veda. Yes, that I got the proof of it. We're going to read it verbatim. And they also talked about the fiery red eyes and these beings. And I said, Ajni, because I knew about Ajni since I was 18 years old. And I said, that's Ajni, we talking about Indra and Soma. Said this shit. And they had it, they call it Ajmi, and they was talking about the fiery eyes and the black, but then we know like the Nagas were jet black, just like this, jet black, and went into everywhere pretty much. It was a dimension. Visitors on the planet, they'll visit, see what's going on, went into Akibalan and ventured off into Hindustan, is Asia, we're all in India, all into the Americas, and so that's what it is. But let's keep going. And so when we talk about like that kinetic energy off of the Saturnian, the dimensional beings, American Negroes, Black Americans, Cubans, wherever you're at, you can feel that kinetic heat. That is mass. That is melanin, so to speak, condensed light. All I'm saying is it's a condensed light or conversion of light. You're still, that's what E equals MC squared means. Now, I'm gonna just bring out this code. If you get it, you'll get it. When we talk about primordials, primordials, um, and then E equals MC squared. This MC squared, that MC squared, melanin carbon squared. I'll just say this. If you in the know, you in the know. If not, well, I'll call you tomorrow. This is a lot of this term, I'll call you tomorrow, is in a lot of Black American songs. Remember in one of Aaliyah's last songs and Resolution, you had Timberland say, I think I'm going to get me a drink. I'll call you tomorrow. It's a cold. Tomorrow, the day is a shadow of tomorrow. Tomorrow is passes yesterday, and the day is, those are. I'm going to throw it out there. If you've been following, you get it. I'll call you tomorrow, and then you should know why that we say MC squared. Like call you tomorrow. You should know why that say MC squared. I'm gonna give out this primordials. Break that stuff down, and you should know why it's MC squared. How do you see how that does not relate to melanin? So let's talk about melanin, DNA defense. Melanin granules, they accumulate in a supranuclear cap over the nucleus of the skin cells. It physically shields your cell's DNA from damage that can lead to mutations and skin cancer. You have heat dispensation. The absorbed energy is safely dissipated as harmless heat, so non radiative energy transfer, preventing the formation of damaging free radicals and in reactive oxygen species that can harm cells and accelerate aging. So that's also what melanin protects from. And then also, melanin is photoprotection in humans. It has the capacity for energy transduction, converting one form of energy to another. That's why we said E equals MC entrusted equals melanin carbon squared. So it can be used in bioelectronics and different applications or whatnot, even fusion power. So melanin is highly sophisticated biomaterial that manages energy from light, and it is for protection in humans. So another aspect of EM2, E equals MC squared. Entrusted melanism equals E equals MC squared, right? Check this out. The EM2 haplogroup. What is the EM2 haplogroup? Let me look that up right here. EN2 haplogroup. We do know that it relates to the royal bloodlines of Ramesses and Queen Thuya. And so a lot of EM2 haplogroup. Sorry, I had a spelling error here. So let me do this again. The EM2 haplogroup is a paternal lineage defined by the N2 genetic marker on the Y chromosome, which is primarily found in West Akibalon. Which is interesting though, is the EM2 is found, they always want to put it in West Africa, West of Keeblan, but guess what? Um, Ramesses had the EM2 haplogroup, as well as Queen Thuya. Now these are Cometian pharaohs, okay, Queen Thuya and Ramesses. Now, how many Black Americans have the EM2 haplogroup? One in three. One in three Black Americans have the Queen Thuya gene. The EM2 haplogroup, it does expand. It does not originate, obviously, in West Akibalan. You guys have to stop thinking of praising a continent or trying to get people focused on one geographic location when it comes to melanin. Why? That's idol worship for one. You're trying to get people to idolize a landmass that they have no connection to. Two, melanin is cosmic. How do we know that? The sun shines everywhere. How do we know that? There's weather that is hotter in Florida than there is in Kenya right now as we speak. How else do we know that? There are animals that are just indigenous to North America, whether it be certain black bears, but they're black. Even certain plants, the colors, but certain animals have black melanin on it that are only indigenous to North America, just like how Akibalan has it, just like Asia. And they're only indigenous to those landmasses. So that would mean that melanin does not start in a geographic location. You cannot pinpoint it there. That because there's melanin in water, there's melanin in the soil everywhere. And so you can't just try to get all Black Americans to focus on Africa or all, because that wouldn't make any sense. And we're talking about creation stories and formations of life itself. The Kivalans themselves, they have their own creation stories, just like the American Indians, just like the Negroes. Where do they say they come from? The stars. We're going to pull it up. I'm going to give you the name of the specific tribes. Okay. So all of this Pan African shit, it doesn't make any logical sense. We're very logical people and very creative people, very intelligent people. So a 120-year framework has to be evolved or even abandoned outright for something better. And there's nothing wrong with that. And to be hard headed on that is going to harm the people more than it will obviously harm me. But you have to be willing to self-reflect and have that self-awareness to realize when something is not working. Just like these systems are not working, capitalism is not working. You have to have enough intelligence to say, let's do something better. Let's actually just think, unless you got an ulterior motive. Now, a lot of people make money off of Pan-Africanism. A lot of people make money off of bullshit. So they want to push bullshit because they make money off of it. But it's not going to help nobody at the end of the day. And if that's what it is, then just say that. But don't try to gaslight me and try to convince me that I need to go with it and prop it up and believe in something that to me I can see clear as day that is not going to work. And back to this EM2 haplogroup. That's your royal bloodline of your Ramesses and your Queen Thuya. And now you do have the Hebrew bloodline that also has EM2 haplogroup. This is just a different star system or belief system. And so this melanin comes from different stars constellations. Orion have their melanin, Pleiades, Sirius. Okay, they all have these different forms of. It's still melanin, but some of it is like ice or like shrewdness. You know how like a coldness is still black, and then you have some of the heat, fire. That's very fire. Like Saturn has a lot of fire, and then like Orion or Sirius is more like ice cold, like diamonds, like how carbon is a diamond. You know how dark diamond is a carbon. Um, Now that's kind of how like Sirius Orion is, and a lot of the Africans, a lot of the Akebulans, they come from there. You can feel that the coldness. It's a different. You can feel that dense melanin in them, and you can feel like a mercurialness, like clearly a different bloodline. You can feel it. There's nothing wrong with that, but you can feel it. So then you get around some other people, say those from Pleiades, which a lot of American Indians are the Pleiades, and they still be dark skinned or dark melanin, but you feel fire from them. It's like fire, hot heat. That's why we call it hot headed. They call it wild Indians, and they like to fight to get they're drinking it. They're fighting the loudness, the boisterousness, versus you have some stoic melanin folk, right? Very stoic, stern, stand real tall, just like that's how they depict some of the Akebalians, real stoic, and even some of the indigenous, real stoic. And then you got some that's really animated, really emotional, really wild. Okay, so these are the different star systems at play. That's all it is. And so, yes, the EM2 haploid. It's found, and it can be found in North Africa and the Middle East, as well as Great Lake regions, West Akibalan, Central Akibalan, Southern Akibalan. Okay. And obviously, guess what? Obviously, they have observed it in Southern Europe and Spain and Ireland because of the Moorish travel into those locations. So obviously, the royal bloodlines, a lot of them have the EM2 haplogroup. And again, 1 in 3 Black Americans have the Thuya gene, which is Queen Thuya, which was a pharaoh. Okay. So royal bloodlines, obviously the with the Hebrew connection, there was a disagreement about an order, about what to do with a certain science. That was it. So that's where you see the commissions and the Hebrew split. They said we're not going to play that, and they Nagas beings, the science is very potent on both sides, but just one side said we don't just follow what Creator God told us to follow. We talk about Creator God of the universe, not the lesser gods. And don't mean that they don't, they get in trouble for doing certain things if you externalize your power into idols. And that's the only reason why it's like, okay, don't do idol worship because you're going to still externalize your power and it can be a distraction. That's why the celebrity culture can be a distraction. And so that's why it was like, okay, don't idolize. And I see Pan Africanism as a form of idol worship because the way they try to get us everybody to just think of Africa, 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 like they got all the answers and stuff. And then no strategy, no military science, no nothing. And so that's why I go with entrusted melanism. I'm gonna rock all day with entrusted melanism. I believe in the power of melanin. I believe in the power of our people, of melanated people, to govern themselves and have that sovereignty, have that autonomy, have that God particle still in them, awaken that kingdom of God within. Okay. That's what I'm standing on. And I'm not gonna let trickery, chicanery, legalese, and all that stuff trick me up. And I'm not going to be arrogant and obnoxious to be afraid to admit when I'm wrong and when we got to do more deeper thinking and actually solve these problems. Okay. And so when I say, Pan Africanism is dead, okay, the Pan, that means that's a goat, a Greek god for a goat that is about adultery and indulgence and horny goat. Okay, it is not. It does not refer to the shape of the pan in Africa because Africa is not shaped like a pan. Because I heard an idiot try to say that when they can't debunk me, and then someone said, "Well, pan equals pandemonium." That doesn't make sense in the context of Pan Africanism. The context of Pan is the Greek origins, and that is a Greek goat god that the Baphomet damn near, but it's not quite the Baphomet, but it's this horny indulgence root chakra base level, that is what it is. Nature, sex, okay? And then you got African. That is named after Scipio Africanus, which is a Roman general who fought in Carthage. Now they say the city was named Africa originally. That is not true. Y'all are lying. We looked up the documentation. That city in Carthage was not originally named that. It is named after that Roman general. And now, what was Africa's original name? Akibalan, Ethiopia. Okay, you got Wagadu. That was the original name of Ghana. You got obviously all the other words and stuff. Nsibidi was a language, pictographic ideogram language that is very similar to hieroglyphics that the Nigerians have control over, that they created. The Ndika codes, Ashanti, and many other tribes in Ghana. Okay, so you have pictograms, ideogram language, computational algorithms through pictograms, ideogram language. Okay, I'm speaking in code. That is your language. It is a powerful language. Hieroglyphics. Now you look at Incivity and you compare it to hieroglyphics, same symbols. Now they obviously got their orders. They gonna protect their shit, keep their shit secret. You ain't gonna know exactly what it means. Rightfully so. What I'm saying is they can develop melanated people. You develop these things even more. Develop those languages, those ideograms and pictograms, even amongst tribes, and don't share with the world and nothing. Just like how Tut language, unfortunately, people the youth ran out and put it all out on the internet. But I'm saying you can do ideogram pictogram because Tut was Dutch. And so Dutch language is still you dealing with the English alphabet. And so you still kind of, I mean, that was not going to be hard to uncover anyways. That's what I'm saying. Bring it to the ideograms, the pictograms. And so the Africanus, that conqueror, under their legalese, when you use the word Africa, it makes anyone using that term cannon fodder, which is why I did ask to go back to the term Kivalan or Ethiopia. I asked Black people to use the term entrusted melanism over Pan Africanism. I asked Black people to spell Black BLAQUE over BLACK because of the definitions and legalese within Black. Obviously, under Black Code law, separatorial tus, but even Black, Black, and then the definitions on even on a federal level that still put you back under Rome, Africa, Rome cannon fodder. Okay, the cattle of Rome. That's really what it means. And then you got the Greek energies with the pan goat god. It's a curse. It's a spell. It's spell casting. And so I can see that they refused to and tried to make it seem like I was being self hating when actually it's them that's self hating because I can admit, okay, this shit ain't gonna work. I'm intelligent enough. I got God body inside of me, God particle light inside of me. I'm gonna come up with something that can actually help, and I'm gonna consult God to get that help. You know, the God within to get that help and cosmic source. I need help, creator God of the universe. I'm not arrogant and I'm not self hating like that. They refuse to go under their own system and develop and create their own system. And when you think of the word Pan African, the frequency, what do you see? What is the anagrams? Okay, think of anagrams. What is the anagram that you see in Pan African? That frequency is pain. Pain for the rich girl. You got Rika in there. Pain, you got the word pain in there, Rika, for the rich girl. But for the rich Rika, you can put that in there. But that F, I don't. I'm still trying to figure out what that F could mean. But it's like pain for the rich girl. So it's like obviously a lot of melanated people they look at Africa as their motherland. People that are Kebalans, they look at Kebalan as their motherland continent with so many resources and whatnot and richness. Okay. It's close to the sun. They have the equator. So if you're talking about the motherland and you say pain for the rich motherland, then Africa has been colonized for centuries. That's spell casting. It's Masonic credit swiping in real time. That's why they get the raw resources and Africa is living in slumber in squalor while they have corrupt governments and corrupt banana republics. And then the West get rich off of, France and all these countries that Britain, they had got rich off of Africa. That's what we talking about. Masonic credit swipe, where you got all the sources, you got all the heat, you got all the kinetic energy, you got all the melanin. You are the gold mine. You got all the gold. And so that's when they start to go and use their words and their contract law, make pacts with demons, all types of shit just to fuck you up in the game. You know, it's coming to an end, but there is a fight. I don't know if that's a physical, it's certainly a spiritual one. It's certainly a spiritual one when it comes to the protection of melanin. Now let's talk about, let me see, because I know, okay, wow, that's quite a bit. Okay. And so they talk about bringing meta internet for 3 billion Africans. Now, that's not just for fun. That's for more surveillance and soul trafficking. Okay. And all of a sudden, the internet was created by, melanated folk, as far as you got marketing, you got fiber optic cables with Sheila Washington or Sheila Jackson. And then one of the Nigerians come up with code for internet. All of a sudden, you don't know how to build an infrastructure to get your ass on the internet. And, you know, so you're going to wait for Meta, Facebook, Fedbook, which was started with by the CIA, for those who didn't know, to come and hook you up to the fucking internet. Africa, really? Akibalon, really? So they want to put all these wires in the ocean or whatever to hook uh Akibalons up to the internet. My thing is, just because they hook it up and just because you got sellout ass politicians, that don't mean you have to use it. Develop your own infrastructure. I'm telling you, even if you're using satellite internet, do something for yourself for once. Don't just let them come in and like you gotta have a parent take care of you or something. When you are the parent. And here's the thing, you know, that's for surveillance. Ain't nobody concerned with hooking up no 3 billion Africans in Africa. Y'all gotta wake up. They want to go over there and get lithium. They want to act like they care about Christians. It's the same playbook. All they know is to colonize. All they know is to lie and deceive. They tell you to your face, be about deception. And so why would you follow that? Like, why are they presidents even allowing it? I would be like, okay, you could whatever you put in the ocean don't mean we gotta motherfucking use your internet. Don't use it. Get based in nature or develop your own Kebalon based internet. Or just keep your spiritual gifts and power and kinetic energy to yourself. Don't externalize. You're gonna be on it. Pretty much, you're gonna be used to train a motherfucking AI. Your ideas are gonna be monitored. Everything. I'm telling you what happened over here to Black Americans. The idea for LinkedIn came from a Black woman. How do I know? I was a kid and I heard an old Black woman talking about it. Next thing you know, there was a fucking LinkedIn. Same with YouTube. Same with the AI that came from my capstone at Columbia University. Okay, the invention to connect NVIDIA GPUs with AI. My idea. It's all publicly documented. My capstone from Columbia University is now public. I gave it to the National Science Foundation to work on it as far as an invention. They downplayed it, said, no, we ain't helping you. It's not, this is not good. And they just stole the idea. Okay. So that's what they're gonna do over there. Because honestly, they need expansion and they need what's that? What was that noise? And they need to steal shit. That's all I can tell you. That's all I can tell you. Okay. That's all I can tell you. So you fall for that if you want, but don't say nobody didn't warn you. Because they ain't gonna, I mean, this metaverse, they want you in their metaverse. So why the fuck would they tell you? Oops, let me go to one of those. Okay. Hold on. Share. Okay, I don't know what that was about. And so we got to look at things on a cosmic level and on a spiritual level. Melanin cosmic will be more important than the landmass. That is against our teachings to idolize places or things. And then we also are always challenged with evolving a framework. So melanated people has always been cosmic. And that's why you have to evolve that 120-year framework after seeing the conditions of melanated people globally. And the reason why they keep trying to push it on us is because they getting paid to. I don't know what else to tell you. They getting paid to push Pan African on people because I know that for a fact that Entrusted Melanism is superior. Just the book alone is 100 and something pages. But then just the way that I crafted it out on a spiritual level in terms of E equals MC squared, bringing back the carbon, putting back the melanin, bringing the sun and fusion power, talking about mass, how it is intangible, how it is interchangeable with melanin. Okay. So there's a serious malediction coming from not listening to instruction, and tuning into that cosmic frequency of melanin. Okay. And you have to focus on building your parallel infrastructure. They won't. They try to get them to do. They won't. You know. They're being paid not to. They won't even go back to study what was going on before colonialism, their own history before slavery. They're being paid not to. They would have to embrace their own will. That's what we have to do. We have to create our own system. We have to embrace our own will. Have enterprise architecture. The guy rebuilding Black America, that was freely given away. Pan African using Entrusted Melanism framework, that was freely given away. The governance architecture of North America, that was given away freely. We're gonna be doing more videos on that too, because we got to do a Nakhti order update. You know, so they have the answers. Now, obviously, I'm shadow banning all this stuff. You fighting against. I'm serious. Like they trying to block out the sun. They trying to block out the sun. That's solar and geoengineering. Now they're talking about um they're talking about I actually wanna okay, there we go. Let me talk about they're gonna have to, as I did talk about, they black out the sun. So that's demonic. And anytime they talk about like, oh, the climate change, so now they have to use like solar geoengineering to black out the sun and try to create the same situation as if you would have a volcano. So anytime there's a volcano, the temperatures in the area cool down. And so they figured if they black out the sun, it can create like this sort of smoke cloud and lower the temperatures of the earth. It doesn't need to be lowered. It's to make sure that you don't have access to free energy, and it's to fuck with black people. That's all it is. Why would you black out the sun? And actually, it's to mess with all of humanity. Okay. Why can't they get along with nature? Who idea is this? What corporations are involved? It's not all, uh, what's going on here? And you got to ask yourself, why can't they just get along with nature? And so are they trying to prevent free energy? And then they compare it to volcanoes, and it's not. They lying. They cannot recreate the force of a volcano in terms of its proper conditions. They can make it, they could try to tell you that, and you can believe that lie all you want. I'm telling you they can't. It's a lie. God caused volcanoes. Those volcanoes have a very ancient evolutionary path of it knows what to do. It knows what to do to put the earth back in balance. These motherfuckers don't know what the fuck they doing. They try to go and create that we're gonna block the sun and it's gonna be just like how a volcano. It ain't nothing wrong with the earth getting hotter. Your ass gonna evolve and you're gonna get more melanin. Get over it. Okay. And so that's being greedy instead of just if you do feel you destroying a planet or if you're using too much fossil fuels, stop using fucking fossil fuels. If you do feel you're okay, stop using oil and go to solar energy. What the fuck is wrong with you? But you rather black out the sun? It's illogical. That's how you can tell you're dealing with demons, you're dealing with Satan, you're dealing with a demonic ass force on your planet. And you're gonna have to stand up to it. You ain't gonna be pay me some money. Your ass gonna you gonna take some money, you're gonna be in a fucking when they talk about something gonna be burning up forever, y'all better pay attention to this shit. You got data centers everywhere, you got AI nonsense everywhere, and they talking about blacking out the sun. You don't know what could happen, what kind of solar flares, what kind of, and I know that they block out that sun, there is gonna be fire storms on this motherfucking planet. I've seen it in dreams, it's in the Bible, it's all throughout these different, I've seen it before I even read that part in the Bible of Revelations and in Matthew. There is gonna be fire storms and it ain't gonna come from all this stuff with they messing around with spiritual stuff. They messing around with stuff they don't understand. They jealous as fuck. I'm telling you, this stuff is so damn deep. I don't know what else to. Yeah, y'all could think I'm fear mongering and trying to scare a motherfucker. All I want. All I ain't trying to. I ain't saying be scared. All I'm saying is get the names of them dumbass corporations that's talking about blocking out the sun. They got startups for it. Beat they motherfucking ass. Now that's where you go act a fool. I'm talking about all of humanity. All of humanity. Do not let them block out that sun. You need that sun for your food, for your nutrition, for your sustenance, for have fun. Okay, for your phytonutrients, for your chemical reactions in your body. All of you, all humans. Don't just think, oh, this gonna get the black people. You do that and fuck around and find out. Okay. Because that's the end of the planet at that point. That's the end. I don't care what nobody say. They mess around and they think they're gonna be able to recreate. They're not God. They don't know shit. They don't know what they're doing. I don't care what they told you. The science about it and the geoengineering, and we have the researchers from Harvard, and I read all. I did a whole project on it at Columbia University. I know what the fuck is going on. They're lying. Okay. And so they're greedy as fuck. They want to destroy that planet instead of, you know, The sun is a life giver. They want to block it. So humanity, you get the name of every startup involved. You publicly shame them. You beat that ass. You say, bitch, you don't touch that sun. We can grow trees to cool the earth down. We could cut down on use. We can. Oh, y'all talking about this climate change shit and that shit. That could be a hoax because humans will adjust. Okay, and rightfully, some will probably die off. But if that sun get hotter, okay, you just gonna get darker. So what? Do not touch. Don't let them touch that sun. And God's gonna block them out and their entire bloodline out. Okay, and you ask that, you pray for that. God block those wicked motherfuckers out and ask Creator God of the universe, destroy all that seeks to go against nature. Destroy all that want to go against nature and go against the life-giving sun, go against primordial cosmic melanin and primordial earth. You destroy them in their entire bloodline for all eternity. That's what you got to say. This is what we dealing with. These motherfuckers is evil. How you talking about blocking out some sun? How you talking about they doing crazy shit? You want to hook everybody up to the internet for what? They didn't ask for it. Did 3 billion Africans ask to be hooked up to the internet? No, and I'm telling you, all you're going to do is try to use you as an AI data source and spy and surveillance and steal all your fucking ideas. You think you got any little ideas that them Africans come up with? Told a bunch of ideas, just like the Black Americans do. I'm telling you, they got us good. They did us fucking dirty, and they about to do y'all dirty if you don't pay attention. Don't let them encroach on your shit. Just say no or just don't use whatever they just stick to your own science, your own history, your own knowledge. Okay? That's all you have to do. But you have to create your own systems, your own currency. I'm already developed my own currency. It's all in my head. I have to write, I can't put stuff on the internet like that. Okay? Declare that no one owns the rights to your water, to your sun, or your minerals. No one but God. And they are not God, creator God of the universe. And if you they and it ain't no contracts, ain't no laws, ain't none of that. But cosmic law that is in agreement with the Mother Earth. That's it. Now ain't no demonic pacts and all this shit. Say no. You don't own no rights to no motherfucking water. No corporation does. No corporation does. That's what you say. You don't own no rights to no sun. You don't own no rights to energy. That's what you say. You also say, we're not going to sell out for pennies. You're not going to sell out your own women, your own children. Okay. Don't try. I'm telling you, if you align with that system, you're done. They're going to try to steal and take credit for other people's ideas. That's all these system is about: kill, steal, and destroy. And they willingly walk into traps. Don't walk into them traps because we warned you. Your elders have warned you. Do not walk into those traps as a people. Just, just pay attention to what's going on. And then there's melanated people. Also, remember, you have your ancestors. There's melanated people in other dimensions. Like I told you about the Saturnian beings. There's melanin in 125D, 45D, 22D. They watching. Okay. And they are very highly evolved. You're talking about, like I said, that color on Saturn. Now, Atlantis, not so much 125D. You get all different, you get green motherfuckers in 125D. You get all types of stuff there. So don't even, But Saturn, pitch black like that. That's it. Okay. And so, seeking you're gonna find. You ask your ancestors with a sincere heart. God and your ancestors won't look out for you. They answer anything you want to know. Found out the keys to fusion power. You think I'm gonna tell anybody? No, no. You think I know a bunch of shit, but is it smart to go in this world? You cannot do that because you're fighting it. There is a force that is literally this. It's kind of creepy. It's like Big Brother meets single white female. You said that single white female syndrome, where you could feel somebody just ravenously jealous of you. I'm not saying the person is white. I'm just saying that force, whatever that force is, to me, it feels like a satanic force. Now, people could say it's just your head, the universe is mental, and it's just your inner demons, and you're running away from them. Yeah, that's all true. A lot of that shit do be true. But what we talking about, no, you're not about to tell me, especially when those go with a high frequency, high vibration, and you in a motherfucker, you feel the attacks. No, no. And it's a lot of people that's been dealing with that. There's been so many people that have been victims of that. And so I'm not about to be listening to they botched ass occult teachings anyways, because it's just designed to put motherfuckers to sleep. those principalities at them higher, like how Ephesians 6:12, that shit is real. There is some sort of principalities. And again, we do, you have to take accountability for our state of reality, even myself. That is a real thing. That is true. And in that regard, that gives us the most power because we have something that we can do something about it. That's why I come up with so much frameworks and theories and try to, and thought consciousness. Um, with the awareness though that there are others that seek to kill, steal, and destroy. That's all. That's, you live on a planet with people that seek to kill, steal. That's all you need to know. It ain't trying to make excuses. That's just the fucking reality. You see it every day. You see people get set up, trumped up charges. You see people get killed every day. What are we acting like naive children for? But I was always thinking, but maybe it's not smart to invent on this planet. There's a lot of people, a lot of another angels that had been saying, dude, we've been knew that we don't invent shit. We know shit. We don't talk about shit. We don't teach shit. We just here doing our thing. So it depends on you have to let God lead you in that regard. And you gonna have to really avoid those traps because this Luciferian Babylonian contract law magic is they're getting it everywhere is getting crazy. So you have to be careful. If you just want to be a content creator on TikTok and all, you have to be careful. Really watch your six, even even on the job. You know, um, the only reason why I even talk about that being cautious is because there's still a battle of good and evil taking place, which means that energy of attacking real morning stars. That's a thing, and you're dealing if you're dealing with you deal with someone being, your target or whatever, you have to realize, your inner circle. You have to realize if someone is jealous hearted or you got to realize, you got to stay away from people like that. If they too greedy, if they too materialistic, like, and they all around you, and then you start seeing them copy you and all that, you got to get away from people like that. That's just common sense. Okay. You have to embrace that cosmic melanin, you know, whether you're Negro, a Keebler, American Indian, or both. A lot of people are all three, ad mix, whatever. Latino, Southeast Asian, whatever. You have to develop that paradigm. Evolve your paradigm. Embrace what your ancestors said. Don't be so quick to identify as a crayon color, not understanding the occult science behind it. All I'm saying is do due diligence with the occult science, the legalese, the Masonic credit swiping. Look, you pay attention to their dictionaries and all this, the way they got it set up, because they do tell a lot of lies and they do want people to walk into traps. It's as simple as that. And then they get paid to cover it all up. They get paid to smear campaign, truth tellers. They come on, you already know. COINTELPRO is motherfucking real. Okay. So we did talk about that. I didn't want to. Okay. And so the last thing that I do want to talk about, and then we can wrap this up. I'm pretty good on time. I was kind of nervous. Let me pause this because we're going to look at some of indigenous. Now, this was another book that I came up with. I'll share it in a second. Just give me a minute. Give me a minute. Damn. Did I do my due diligence? Let's see and put it in the right. Let's hope I did. Trusted not some digital architecture and trusting unraveling epistemological boundaries and power knowledge and Africa theory. Because again, I'm a deep thinker. And so I'll share this. Let's go to chapter 7. Do I have chapter 7? I'll already pulled up. Yes, I do. Thank God. Okay. Wait a minute. What's going on? Okay, so once you put a document in Google Doc, it kind of gets a little janky. Maybe I'm actually gonna go to the Google Drive. Let's see. Because I just don't like the way this looks, but I am short on time, and so I don't want to waste a lot of time. But there was a book called Unraveling Epistemological Boundaries and Power Knowledge in Out of Africa Theory that I had also really gave out. Um, and this was once again to take things to a cosmic level of melanin, to take things out of the construct of everything you've been taught, new ideas, Simultaneous quantum biogenesis is what I believe humans, yeah, at least melanated humans evolved. Can Yes, we know melanated humans were genetic splicing it and experimenting and creating their own species and whatnot. We know that. Remnants of Anunnaki, all types of shit. Yeah, we know they was doing experimentations, and even the Bible talks about it. It does. So many about experimentation goes wrong. You know, when Ecclesiastes would say, give me because they were creating stuff without Ruha and the spirit. Remember, it says, but that which I created crooked. It's a code. They was messing in genetic splicing. You know, everybody knows pollinators was doing some bullshit down here. Is, are we gonna act like that's not the case? So yeah, they were doing that. Um, let's resume screen sharing. I'm not gonna do all we're just gonna it looks janky because of it being in Google Docs. But this is chapter 7. So it says, let us talk about melanin and a role it plays in life. So I wrote this book in 2022 or 2023. So it says melanin is a pigment that is found in a wide range of organisms, including humans. It is responsible for skin color, hair, and eyes. Melanin acts as a natural sunscreen, protecting early humans from the harsh UV radiation of the sun. It also acts as an antenna for receiving and processing environmental energy. Melanin may have played a role in developing and adapting life, human life on different continents. One of the most fascinating aspects of melanin is in its presence throughout the universe. Melanin is found in various cosmic phenomena, including stars, comets, and interstellar dust. This had led some to speculate that melanin may have played a role in the origin of life on Earth, elsewhere in the universe. In recent years, researchers have discovered that melanin has unique properties that suggest a potential connection to quantum physics. Melanin is known to absorb light, which is a form of energy. When light is absorbed by melanin, it causes electrons within the pigment to become excited and move to a higher energy state. This process is similar to what happens in quantum physics, where electrons and atoms absorb and emit energy in the form of photons. Furthermore, studies have shown that melanin exhibits electrical and magnetic properties. This process is because melanin comprises long chains of highly conjugated molecules, meaning they can conduct electricity. Melanin exhibits both electrical and magnetic properties, suggesting that it could play a role in the body's ability to sense and interact with electromagnetic fields. This could be especially important in the brain, where electromagnetic fields are known to play a role in neurocommunication. So um, you know, this book is also available on YouTube for free. Maybe not this part. I think I might be reading this for the first time. I'm not sure. Actually, I'm not sure. Melanin is a biopolymer composed of phenolic and indolic compounds. It is a ubiquitous pigment found throughout animal and plant kingdoms. Its functions range from photoprotection to thermal regulation and even acts as a semiconducting material. This widespread distribution of melanin has led to the question of its origins and whether it originated in a specific geographic location. While it's common to believe that melanin may have originated in Africa due to high concentration of people with dark skin, the scientific community cannot definitively prove this assertion. I know for a fact that it doesn't. I don't need a scientific community to tell me that. It's way broader than any landmass. This is because melanin has been found to exist in various forms in various environments, including the universe, soil, and even in birds' feathers. In addition, recent studies have shown that melanin may have evolved independently in different organisms, yes, further supporting the idea that its origins cannot be traced to a single location or population. That's very true. It is cosmic universal. Furthermore, the process of biochemical mechanisms responsible for melanin synthesis and regulation are still not wholly understood, complicating any attempts to determine its exact origins. In light of these challenges, scientists must continue studying the properties and functions of melanin to gain a deeper understanding of its role in the natural world. The role that this will require a multidisciplinary approach that draws on insights from fields such as biochemistry, biophysics, evolutionary biology, as well as the consideration of potential impacts of quantum effects on melanin's properties. Okay, so we got that. Melanated people are the first people of the earth. That is chapter 8 that I wrote. And it says melanated people can connect by honoring and respecting individual cultures and ethnicities. This is in lieu of delineation. Melanated people need to assert their own narratives on the origin of human life rather than relying solely on the theories of others, particularly white people. And that is true. Like y'all let uh these people come and tell you this is where you come from, this is what it happened. And that's just not true. It's not cool to let them do that. And in this book, I talk about that. We give the names of where it comes from, or the outer Africa theory. We break it down because y'all trying to get those all melanated people to idolize the land, to push them off of the land. because they can't conquer. There's certain entities as in Akibalon that will prevent them white folks from just taking it over like that. They cannot. The entities will not just hand over Africa to them, but the entities they have been trying to do that in Europe. They try to do it in America. They try to do it in the Caribbean, and so by getting melanated people distracted all on Africa, they're not paying attention to getting their own relics and fetishes in the creator god or the universe for protection over their own very land masses of which ancestors may come from. Okay. And so that's what that's about. And so melanated people need to assert their own narratives of the origins of human life rather than the theories of others. Throughout history, melanated people have had been the Earth's original inhabitants and developed their own unique stories and beliefs about creation. By telling our own stories, we can preserve our cultural identity and resist the erasure of our history. As interdimensional beings, we must recognize that our existence transcends the physical world and cannot be fully understood through empirical evidence alone. Our stories and beliefs reflect a deeper understanding of the universe and our place in it. We must honor and preserve our own perspectives on human origins rather than accepting a limited and Eurocentric view of our history. Knowledge is power. And by reclaiming our own narratives, we can empower ourselves and future generations to embrace their cultural heritage and resist the forces of cultural assimilation. We must not wait for others, scientists, to develop their theories about our origins. We must take the initiative to tell our own stories and shape our understanding of the world. We have a unique connection to universe and to God. This connection is heightened by the presence of melanin in our bodies. Melanin is also believed to play a role in the perception of time and space and transmission of information between cells. As the first beings on planet Earth, dark skinned people share a common ancestry and unique connection to the planet and each other. That connection is based on the fact that all dark skinned people share a form of melanin known as eumelanin, responsible for brown and black pigments in skin, hair, and eyes. This shared genetic heritage has led to the development of various cultural and spiritual traditions and celebrate the power and beauty of melanin. In essence, being an interdimensional being with melanin is a powerful, awe inspiring experience connecting us to the universe profoundly. It is a reminder of our ancient and cosmic origins and our potential to tap into the vastness of the universe. So let's look at chapter 9. Dark skinned indigenous people and equivalents must develop their own scientific theories that honor their own creation stories. It is essential for all people, including indigenous and dark skinned populations, to engage in scientific rigor when exploring the origins of humanity. However, it is necessary to recognize and honor these communities' unique cultural and mythological traditions. Indigenous and dark skinned communities have their own creation stories and beliefs about the origins of humanity. And these stories are an essential part of the identity and cultural heritage. While these stories may not necessarily align with current scientific theories, they should still be valued. At the same time, it is crucial to recognize that scientific inquiry is an essential tool for understanding our world and the origins of humanity. By engaging in scientific methods and research, we can better understand our shared history and origins as a species. Therefore, Indigenous and dark skinned communities must balance their cultural traditions with scientific inquiry, using their unique perspectives and knowledge to contribute to scientific research and discovery. Doing so, we can develop a more comprehensive understanding of human origins that ensure our voices are heard and pursued in knowledge. So, in particular, Akibalians must honor their own creation stories on their origin of human life and develop scientific models to support their beliefs. Too often, Akibalians do not question the production of knowledge about them. To be frank, Black Americans are more prone to scrutinize knowledge production from outsiders than Akibalians, and for a good reason. For instance, many Akibalan origin stories maintain a polygenesis nature rather than monogenesis. They talk about the stars. They talk about how genesis means that interdimensional motherfuckers just pop up on the planet. That's what melanated people been talking about, including the Keeblines for thousands of years. Okay, so I'm not saying nothing that's self-hating. I'm going with my ancestors motherfucking said. Okay. I'm not gonna go with a school told me what they said, what a textbook said. None of that. I find it odd that Keeblines would ignore their creation stories to promote human origin theories developed by Charles Darwin and Chris Stinger. Keeblines should be developing scientific theories on human origins, not regurgitating theories from British and American scientists. As a Black American, I put forth my own theory on human origins to deconstruct the power and knowledge production, uh, and preserve Black Americans' unique lineage. By acknowledging and embracing our cultural heritage, we can help prevent the erasure of identity and culture, which has been the case in the past. And so we're talking about developing scientific origins. Okay, let's see. I thought power and knowledge, embracing their own. Didn't I? We had biology, all together. The Pacific stories. Okay, here we go. Indigenous and Akibalan culture recognizes the universal origin of human life. Yeah, their creation stories. So let's see. I know I had put it there specifically. Trying to look for it. The sun shines everywhere. Because I think idolizing Africa is not the answer. I don't. I think that our ancestors have left us the blueprints and they gave us the intelligence to evolve those blueprints. Biogenesis, electromagnetism, and chemical building blocks. So this is a book that I wrote. I mean, I was crashing out. I mean, I go into the quantum entanglement, I'll be gone. Okay. But yes, indigenous and the Kibons, they always talk about coming from the stars. Okay. They always talk about celestial stuff. They always talk about polygenesis. They've been talking about electromagnetism. They've been talking about melanin. Okay. You got the Dene people, they had their creation story. The Mali got their creation story. Every all these different people, they and what they talk about stars, star systems, and constellations. So what makes us motherfucking different? You understand? I don't make no motherfucking different. Not at all. Trying to look for. I thought I had the specific tribes in it. Did I take that chapter out? Did I really take that chapter out? I had. it must have didn't fit with the story. As far as like the seriousness of what I was talking about, because oh, I did. Did I put the doggone stuff here? Is I thought I had put the doggone tribe in here and all this. I might want to release that chapter then on the internet. It's like a major part. I'm telling you, I'll be gone. This is some really deep research. I mean, we talking about 100,000. I mean, we was going deep. I thought I put the specific tribes in there. I must have took it out. Did I? It would have been towards the end. Why would I have put it that deep? It's your question of power knowledge, epistemology. What is power knowledge? I talk about how, explores how power is intertwined with the construction and dissemination of knowledge. Who is telling you a story? Who came up with the knowledge? It's always bound up in power. Okay. And so you have to be aware of coercion. And so, and epistemology is like, how do you know? What do you know? Oh, because somebody told you, a colonizer told you, and so that's also another thing that we were talking about. But you guys get the point. I wanted to talk about a little bit more about carbon. Let me pause this sharing and then we're going to end it because I have to head off of here. But let's talk a little bit about carbon, a little bit more about this MC squared because it's like, well, carbon is 666, but carbon is not MC squared. Okay, that's what you would say. But carbon, I don't know to put my notes on that. Carbon squared. Damn, where did I put my notes? Are we serious? Let me pull up. Maybe I put it in the screenshot. Did I take a screenshot of it? I must have took a screenshot. It just I thought I actually copied and pasted, but apparently I didn't. Okay. Come on, come on, come on. Since I have to get up off of here. I'm trying it. I'm kind of doing too much, to be honest. Okay, so no. Because sometimes they be deleting stuff. I'm telling you, they be really deleting all types of stuff off my computer as I be working, folders, they be doing all types of stuff, y'all. So I'm like, how did that just so I'm trying to do my due diligence to make sure that that's not the case. I can find it again. No, that would have been in that document. Come on, come on, come on. Okay. Or did you continue to work on that document? Let me just do my due diligence before I get all paranoid again. Because it could be in the other document. And when you made that copy, you didn't share the rest of it. Let's pray. Okay, good. I was about to freak out. I'm like, okay, let me do my due diligence before I start thinking, oh, they're targeting me. Okay, here we go. Found it. Okay, so we got carbon squared. So that's your electron arrangement. So the electrons are arranged in two primary shells around a nucleus. You have your first inner shell that hold, when we say carbon squared, it holds two electrons. The shell is full. Your second shell that holds four electrons. That is your valence shell. And then you have these four valence electrons that are available for bonding. The next is your atomic structure of your carbon atom. That's where you get your six protons, six neutrons, and six electrons. That's your carbon 12. That's the neutral carbon atom. Okay. And so that the stable neutral carbon 12 has six protons. That's located, define the element as carbon, your six neutrons located in the nucleus. Number can vary in isotopes and in your electrons. But carbon itself is, when we say carbon squared, we're talking about the electron arrangement. And that first inner shell holds two electrons. Square that, second shell, four electrons. Okay, so this is not me just being a quack. Like I know on some level what I'm talking about when we talk about E equals MC squared. Remember, entrusted equals melanism carbon squared. That's what real E equals MC squared means. Remember, melanin is your mass energy example, your kinetic energy, your fusion, your sun power, and melanin as the intelligence itself. Your carbon squared is your electron arrangement. And then you're entrusted, remember, you're taking melanin is taking responsibility. Okay, we're going back to the sun. Do not let them black out the sun. Don't let them give you no bullshit. Now remember, carbon is also the compounds that are essential for life. It makes up your DNA, your proteins, your carbohydrates, and fats. And humans are approximately 18.5% carbon by mass, all humans. And so you have unique bonding. Carbon has four valence electrons, allowing it to form up to four stable covalent bonds with other atoms, including itself. Okay. I'll call you tomorrow. Remember? Call you tomorrow. And so E entrusted equals MC squared, melanin carbon squared. Okay. We went throughout the whole thing. Okay. Do not let them black out the sun. All humans, if you get your ass out, get the names of those corporations, beat that ass, say, no, you ain't touching no sun. I mean, you guys gonna have to make peace with our, with our planet. And yes, we're all gonna get darker. Yes. Hmm. Some of you gonna be looking like this soon. So don't let them black out the sun. It's not a bad thing. The average white person gonna be looking mixed, or it's gonna get my color. I'm brown skin. And then if you're already like Sudanese and Wolof tribe, Senegalese, okay. When I don't know. You're gonna look like Saturn beings. They come back down here. Some of them shapeshift now. And then again, it's not based on race. It's about your frequency. It is about your character and the content of your skin. I mean, the content of your heart, not skin. The content of your heart, your heart. Okay, that's what we're moving into. That's what we're moving into. MLK, he was talking to Cole when he said, "Motherfucker had a dream." The nigga had a dream. He said, "Content of character," but not based on that shallow shit. Okay, not that nonsense, not under that race paradigm, the cosmic melanin paradigm. BLAQUE. You can't get with the program, you get left behind. Y'all gonna be fighting and down there selling each other out, doing all types of stupid shit. Do that. But we moving on to higher dimensions, higher planes of existence, higher levels of thinking. Okay. And that is based on the content of character and heart. No more corporations, no more greed, no more jealousies, no more solidiousness, no more harming children. Okay. Peace on earth, freedoms, love. Okay. 528, 963, 432. higher ways of being for everybody, including myself. We all have work to do. And shit, I can admit when I'm wrong. I know I'm not perfect. And I know that I'm definitely figuring this stuff out. But it's been a blessing to figure it out. And I thank God every day. hmm I practice that. Try, if God say just praise and thanksgiving, just be a joy. Try, that means joy. But they want everybody depressed. They want everybody all worried about the finances and all that stuff. We say no. We say no more. We'll grow our own food. We'll take care of each other. We'll look out for each other. And if you can't get along, say you got insecure people that's all obsessed with it. Okay, they say, they want to be racist to black folk or whatever. You keep it moving. You split. Ain't no arguing, ain't no fight. Okay, you do you. The fuck? You gotta have security within yourself to realize we can come up with parallel infrastructures that's superior to anything you ever could imagine, just like Atlantean days. But we gotta bring it back to nature. We do. We have to bring it back a little bit. That means got to get a little bit off of the tech and all these things. And they showing these data centers. That shit look dead. That don't look like no spirit. I want to see apple trees, banana trees, and all shit. I don't want to see no damn data center and cryptocurrency. That is not tangible. A data center is not tangible. And so, for us as humans, we just gotta be mindful of that. Like, what kind of world do you want to live in? Because them data centers is going to raise your electricity costs and your water costs. And really, they're not supposed to be paying for that anyway. So, yeah, get real and let's wake up and let's do this together. And if you can't, fine. We can venture off into high frequencies, get rid of low frequencies. I'm gonna show y'all some shit. I'm gonna show y'all all types of stuff in 2 weeks from when we talk about these frequencies, these lesser gods, these primordials, these and then obviously the creator God of the universe, we call the most high, the most high. That is creator God of the universe. Okay. So I'm gonna get up off of here. 20 minutes. I got another thing to look into, another venture. Let me get my ass up off of here. Okay, stop share. Okay, how do I stop share? Okay. Okay, so let me get my ass up here. Since we're running, stop. Hi guys. Stop.